I don't like the
Yeah,
idea.
hold on. It's not coming up. Did I? No, it's,
There you go.
he did. Oh, there it is. Okay.
I hit the light and then
There you go.
yeah.
You're all good now.
it's good now. I don't like the idea of calling this a plan anymore. I think we need to change the word from plan to idea. Or some word that's offering up change. Because pretty much what's going on with all these roads, we're gonna put a road where you live or anybody lives, we're gonna put a road in, we're planning to put this road in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or whatever. And that's the plan. And then every time it comes back to the board, we'll vote on that plan again. Well, no one cares about the plan because no, it's not happening. Then all of a sudden, when the plan comes to fruition, now all of a sudden, there's all kinds of problems. There's all kinds of people complaining, they're all mad and with good reason. And in some cases, the road really isn't even needed anymore because a new road came in that isn't part of our county system, but it's part of like the toll road or a state road or an IDOT road or whatever.
Okay.
So
Well, thank
why
you.
can't we put something on an agenda to say that we would like to change the word from plan to idea so that everyone understands that it's just an idea. So if they want to have a 2025 plan, we could vote on a 2025 plan to go all the way to 30, 40, 50, whatever, right? It wouldn't matter. But if we call it an idea, because I'm going to vote no to every plan from now on, because when you call it a plan and we vote for a plan, then what's happening is everyone believes it's a plan that's going to happen.
Okay.
So let's call it an idea.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Member Freeman, you're up next.
In regards to a plan to an idea, I think we should leave it as a plan because it is a plan. We are planning to do this in the future. When you go on vacation, you make plans. You don't make an idea, you make a plan. All of the surrounding municipalities and townships, they have plans. And I would say that uniformity is good.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments?
Well,
Yep, Mr. Revis.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to maybe get a summary on a couple of the major projects, specifically the Illinois 57 to Illinois 39. You got a second to answer a question on that or no?
Yeah.
If not,
Absolutely.
but if
answer.
not, I mean, we can always do it offline. I'm just doing it for the good of the public record.
Push your mic. Thank you. All right.
That looked like to me that was the most expensive one in the plan, totaling $110.8 million.
Which county board district?
I thought it was two. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the numbers of the district.
I'm not, what road were you on? Looking at?
Illinois 57 to Illinois 39.
39.
A part of our plan?
Yeah.
I don't even see that on the map, so.
I mean, I-57 isn't our road, it's the state route. 39 is in another county, I believe.
Yeah, it's in like Kendall or something or Grundy.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Okay, all
I
right,
withdraw from the record.
okay. No problem. Member Van Dyne. There you go.
Thank you. If we're talking about the 2026 to 2031 transportation improvement program, but in that resolution, it does state the 2040 long-range plan. So to be more concise, I don't understand what Member Balich is trying to change.
He wants to change it to the Will County Transportation Improvement Idea
Instead of
And-
program?
instead of plan. The word is plan on the first page.
Yeah, if I can add a little more to that too.
There, on the agenda, it says program, but on
Yeah,
the
that's our
actual
agenda.
document, it says plan.
Yeah. So the 2040 plan is what we're currently under right now, and that's statutory that I have to provide a 20-year plan, which we've done. And as you know, we're doing the 2050. Another part of that requirement in the statute is that we have to have a list of the major improvements anticipated within 5 years of the date of each plan. So we're talking about the plan, the multi-year, long-range plan, and then we have this 5-year plan. It's associated to the same document. So we meet that annual update with this multi-year plan. So that's how the 26-20-31 is our annual responsibility to update this plan. So we do that every single year. So that's why the word has always been that way, because it's kind of tied to the existing statutory document.
Correct. Thank you. And I would just say for the record, my own experience living in Bolingbrook, there was a sign at the dead end of Kings Road in the middle of a subdivision, very near a former board member's house. And for years, that sign was there, probably close to 30. And it said, future site of the Kings Road extension. And when the county finally moved forward on that, the neighbors all had angst about it. I'll just say angst. And they came and they protested and they were upset. The sign was there when they bought their house. The sign didn't go up after they bought their home. It was there when they bought their homes. And other than taking a 2x4 and hitting them over the head, I don't know how much more aware you can make somebody. And, you know, you make the decision as the buyer, as the market, as, you know, as the consumer to buy your home. It is incumbent upon you to know what is in your neighborhood, what's in your community, what the taxes are, what the school district is. And if you don't check any of that out, that is certainly not anybody's fault. Growth and expansion will happen. Sometimes there won't be a sign for 30 years. Sometimes it has to do with what has happened in the neighborhood, the number of houses, the number of businesses, the number of warehouses and factories, and et cetera, et cetera. But it is a plan. It is not an idea. We are budgeting for this. And each year, if we choose not to approve something, the way we do that is to not appropriate the money. That's my understanding of how this would work, or vote it down in committee or make a change in committee, which is what we're here to do today. So if there is a specific road, like Mr. Revis brought up, even though it wasn't what he was thinking. But if
Just
there
off
is
one
some-
number.
Yeah,
We've
just
got-
one number, and he'll get back to it, I'm sure. Then, you know, now is the time to bring that up and bring your evidence forward and talk about why it's not a good plan moving forward. But it is a plan. It's not an idea. Member Williams, let me find you.
I just had a question because since it's such a large number of years, so will we ever go back in? Maybe it was a good idea at the time and now it's not. So when can the plan be amended and how will we go about doing it?
It can be amended, but this particular one that we're looking at today is just for the next 5 years.
And I do understand that. I'm just saying that if that's the
Yep.
concern, which I think it is, but you
It
know.
is. And now's the time to amend it today and going into the full county board meeting next week. And next year, around this same time, we'll be looking at this again and it'll say 2027 to 2032. Did I say that right? Yeah, 32. It's 5 years every year. It's 5 years into the future. And that's when it gets like really serious about the phase one engineering, the money, et cetera, et cetera. The 2050 plan that we're going to be looking at and voting on. Yeah, they've got some budget ideas, but you're not doing, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not doing any phase one engineering in the 2050 plan.
No, it's not, that's too high level. The
Mhm.
2050 plan covers, these are the roads we look to address. Then this multi-year plan gets into the phasing of it all, initiating a contract. And then we have the individual contracts themselves, the phase one contract itself, which we bring to you for final approval. So it's like you got the 10,000 foot level, 500, and then the 50-foot level. So it's like that.
So it is a process. Mr. Revis, did you want to read?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, I was missing the 4 on my note. So it's Crete-Monee Road, Illinois 57 to Illinois 394.
Sure.
So that, the only reason I'm bringing it up, and I'm just doing this for public record, and you know, we got to meet to talk about something, so we might as well spend some time talking about the matter in front of us. It appears to be the most expensive one on the entire list. There's $110.8 million for Look at that construction, segment 3 construction. There's $14 million for construction engineering, segment 3. But I guess my question is, the dates, it goes from 2027, which is only a couple years away, all the way through 2031. How can we have confidence in these estimated costs when inflation and other factors, that we can't account for today might, be something we need to account for? You know what I'm getting at?
I do. And actually, every year I would usually do more like a 10-minute presentation on this because some of you are new. I don't have to do that. I can do that if you want to go into it. One of those things I would usually say addresses that. So if you want to look at Crete Money, that's actually page 19 on that. Tim, if you can bring that up just so we can have the perspective for everyone here. And kind of explain this chart so everyone understands the charts. They apply to every page on here, but Crete Money in specific is broken up into a lot of different segments. It's still in very preliminary stages, so we don't know limits of these individual segments. So right now we just say segment and we've assigned dollars to it. Page 19 of the PDF. Jump.
I have that. Is there a construction contingency in there, like 10,
Yeah,
20%?
so every year, I mean, this is those numbers right there. We just started. They're lofty numbers. Those are not going to be the numbers that we hit. Hopefully, we're close, but we might not be. So every year when we come back,
Wait
every
a
one of
second.
these numbers is updated.
Can you rewind and say what you just said? These numbers are lofty. These
Now,
are
for Crete Money itself, yes, because we're so early in the design. We're actually only in the preliminary design. We're not even in design engineering yet. So those are high estimate numbers.
Okay, so that's a overestimation, not an underestimation.
I can't say that. I'm just saying it's our best guess at the moment. It may go higher, it may go lower, but as each year comes forward, and I bring this forward each and every year, we update every single number with the best knowledge that we have.
Understood. I would like to see if that's the case, just somewhere on there, the word estimation, just so the public, I mean, this is all going to be in the public record.
Is
So,
it in the body of the beginning of the?
I
plan?
will have to check. I don't know how we worded that necessarily. Amount.
I mean, that kind of I think
We could
that
say
matters. And,
estimated
it
amount on
speaks
the
to
header.
Steve's point, we're expected to vote on this stuff, and it follows you along, and if we're going to be voting on it, I don't want my name tied to an estimation that could be low or could be high, and then, years later, factors out of our control, totally blow this open, So I would just say I'd like to see the word estimation on there if we can, maybe make that change, or if there needs to be a motion. I don't know.
So change the header from amount to estimated amount.
Yeah.
That satisfies.
Yeah,
that
or
particular
even if
thing.
it's just like at the very bottom of the page, something that says like, these figures or figures with an asterisk are estimations at this juncture or something like that. I don't know.
Tim, would you scroll down one more page just to see if there's an,
Jeff, just to be clear too, you're doing this plan. If something happens and the price of whatever goes up so much that this road, we don't have enough money in our budget, it would just be stretched out further
we
down.
would have to move it back a year, which some of these projects have moved back a year, either because the right of way isn't complete, utilities aren't complete. We have the money when we go to construction, just because it's a 5-year plan. I mean, we're looking ahead. So
Once we get to
that's
that
not
point.
really ever an issue for us, but if it is, then it just moves back a year or two, wherever the case might be. So like that Crete Money, if you go back up one more time. So you'll, one more, up higher, there you go, keep going. Right there, Crete Money, so you see construction, 2030, we have money, 2031, we have money. Then under that, you see MYB. That's because we don't have the money to build everything within 2030 and 31. So we have to wait for the future years to come forward and bring that in. That's what MYB means. So you'll see that on a few of the other projects. MYB, multi-year B. Now, this is like the multi-year plan A. Multi-year B is the stuff that's outside the 2031. So we would hope to bring those segments in on future years.
And then if something happens at the state level with the RTA tax money, that would change all of this.
Well, yes, that would change everything.
So again, this is the plan as of today for 5 years, but it could change based on revenues. So I'm going to take member Oxley next. Hold on, let me turn it on. Go ahead.
Paragraph C states that this could be looked at every year. Let me read it to you.
Yeah.
Planning document is therefore intended as a guide for future improvements and maintenance, subject to change on an annual basis.
Mhm.
And we know we go to bid, the engineer's estimate is one thing, you go to bid, it's another thing. It is what it is after that. Doesn't matter who said what. And that's why you have contingencies built into these funds.
Mhm. Thank you very much. Member Freeman.
So I went to the looking our way forward, Will County Transportation. They talked about a lot of this. They had excellent pictures of everything. They had people available to ask questions. And one of the things that my husband asked, because I knew he needed to be there, was what kind of program do you use to look into the future? And it was explained that there's this computerized program, I'm not exactly sure what it was called, but that it takes these things into consideration, and that like when they're looking at the figures, it will estimate increases, and it will look as to areas of development, and it can change daily if we ask it to, with the changes that are made. Am I correct, Jeff?
For the 2050 plan, yeah, they're using TransCAD to model the traffic for 2050. And if something comes up, a huge development or airport or whatever, we can update that model and see what the traffic might look like when that comes in. That's pretty high level, not necessarily for this particular plan, because this is the real world stuff that we are working on right now, or will be in the next year or two. But yeah, for the 2050, that
Was
has
that
time to do
type
that.
of program once applied to this?
There was I don't remember the name of the program, but there was some model done for the 2040 plan, yes.
So it's still been applied. It's still there. I'm okay with this. It's a plan. Plans change. I may plan to go to Jewel Osco for groceries today, and I may end up at Tony's. It's still a plan.
So next year, if I may just add real quick, next year, this one is based on the 2040 plan. Next year, it's going to be based off the 2050 plan as the framework. So we might bring new projects in based on what the 2050 plan says. This particular MYP we're looking at today, it doesn't have any new projects just because we have plenty of backlog with the ones we're already working on now. But next year might be a different story. We might have to look at some other priorities to add into the program. So we'll see about that on next year's version. But this one is all based off the 2040, and it does not add any new projects except for an IGA we had with Village of Manuka for McGilvery Road. Other than that, everything else is the same.
That's really important to know, and I'm glad you stated that, because I've voted on the 2040 plan at least once. And it's nice to know that we've pretty much stuck to it, and for the some other board members that have been here for a long time, they voted on that as well. So now is the time when we're talking about this 2050 plan to look at it and say, I don't really agree with this. I don't like that, and send your feedback. I know our chief of staff has asked in multiple emails. Jeff has asked. There are 3 public presentations, one of which I know for sure already took place because I went to it. This is your time as a board member to do your due diligence and go look at what this plan is. And if you can't get to one of the events, you have the document in an email, and you have staff available to explain anything to you that you have a question about. Member Revis now has a question or comment.
Yeah. So I was just saying that, to speak to Member Oxley and Member Freeman's points, that there's a perception that this is not just a plan. I know in our conversation right now, it's clear that it's a plan and it's going to change and, blah, blah, blah. But the public, when they look back on this, and the only time that they're going to look back on this is when something happens that they're not happy with, and they're going to look at this and they're going to perceive it as something that was an official document that we were, committing to in a concrete manner, and there wasn't that flexible plan mentality to it. So I would just like it to be like clear in there. I can kind of see on the bottom right here, any funds in italics are funds that we are pursuing and do not have final IGAs approved. And then I would just like to see something similar, whether it's an asterisk or if it was highlighted in yellow, this is a estimated figure. And then maybe we put the date that it was voted on next to it or something like that. I would just say, yeah, so.
Okay. No more questions from committee members. So I'm going to take another question from Member Balich.
Yeah, now you're misconstruing, I think a lot of people are, what I said about an idea. You know, the reason I said it should be changed to idea is because, for instance, I'm going to use a bad example, but it's 143rd Street. I voted probably 3, 4 times, I have no idea, to approve the 20, at that time would have been 2000 to 2030, or 2000 to 25, or 2000 to whatever, the 2070, whatever would have been. I voted for those plans because when we were on the board, we just assumed that these plans were just there. And if there was something we didn't like in it, we brought it up. Like we had raised barrier median stopped on 143rd Street, me and Frizzalone. That was in probably, I don't even know the year.
13
2000,
maybe.
yeah, whatever it was. But we got that pulled out because the people were screaming about raised barrier medians. People didn't realize what the road was. And neither did me and Mike. We were just going along with the 20, you know, it's a plan. It's just a plan, what everybody's saying. Well, it's more than a plan, because when you vote for the plan, the people believe that you're in favor of the plan. So we were, me and Mike Frizzalone, we were glad to get the raised barrier median stopped for the people. But that wasn't enough. We voted yes to the plan, which is what's happening now. So, and when we voted yes, 159th Street wasn't there. It was not there. It was a 2-lane, you know, it was nothing. Now it's like a super raw road, right? And then
Okay, Mr. Balich, can
355,
you get
I'm
to
trying
your
to say is that we cannot keep voting for these plans that go out and call it a plan and go out 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 50 years. And I get that the road district has to have some kind of an idea what they're going to do. So we have to come up with a different word or a different, well, some kind of a thing on our, like what Mark Revis was talking about, on the bottom. This is not a plan that is positively going to happen, because there could be changes, and the changes could come within a year. Everything could be fine somewhere for all the time. Then all of a sudden something happens that makes it so it won't work when the project starts. It could happen that fast in 1 year, right?
Okay.
So
we've
why
got your
are we
point.
expected to vote on something we have no idea what is going to happen, and then be responsible for those votes that we voted that were actually not
Okay,
good votes?
I think everybody's heard you. I think they understand what you're asking for.
Well, I
I've
think we
heard
got to do something
suggestions.
about it. It's not about asking. I said, we got to do something about it, because if we don't, everybody is going to be in the same boat.
Well, I
don't
haven't
care
heard a
where you
motion.
live,
Do you
it's
have a mo-
bipartisan issue.
Mr.
It's not
Balich, do you have a
Republican
motion?
issue.
Do you have a motion?
Can I make a motion that's not on the agenda?
You're not on the committee,
I'm on the committee.
then you can make a motion.
Well, I motion that we change the way we identify these plans to make it so that we have a word like idea, or we have a disclaimer on there that these plans are not going to be exactly like this.
I would ask that you reduce your motion to writing, because it
Well, you know
doesn't
what?
sound like you're very
You
sure
know
what
what?
you
You're
want to
telling me to
have.
make a motion on it. I didn't
Well-
think I could make a motion because it's not on the agenda to do that.
The plan is on the agenda.
Okay, well then,
I think I have an idea, man. Can I go?
go ahead, Mark.
And I actually think, you know, Chair Trainier,
I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, our rules say it has to be in writing, so.
okay,
Madam
so
Chair.
I was just gonna say, maybe we make a motion now to add a preamble to the plan that outlines exactly what we're talking about, how, you know, this is by all estimate, you know, by all accounts, only estimations and amounts that we're striving and projects that we're striving for, you know, something like that. I think this is good for all of us. We should want a letter like this to go with the plan. Republican, Democrat, somewhere in between. This, I think, is good. So I agree with Steve.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something you guys want to pursue, but
I like what Mark said, but the problem is when you say make a motion to something like that, I want to make sure I'm using the right language.
Well, then take your time and get the language together. This is 1 year, one plan. We're going to do this again next year. Nothing's going to
Well,
stop you
we-
from
we
making a
should-
change.
We're going
between
to have a
now and then.
lot besides this plan. We're going to have other plans.
Right. And we
coming
can
up.
certainly
You know,
make
so
amendments.
what Mark said, I want to, do you want me to make a different motion or do you want me to
I
just?
don't
add
want you to
on?
do anything.
Oh,
I'm just reading the
Okay, well
agenda.
then, I want to make a motion and I'm hoping I get a second to have the word plan.
Wait a minute, we already have a motion on.
Yeah.
What are we doing with that?
This is the
Okay.
Are
motion
you
for to add a
withdrawing it?
preamble, correct?
It's your motion. Are you withdrawing it? Are
Okay.
you going to put it in writing? What? I mean, our rules say it's
Okay,
supposed
I
to be
read
in
my
writing.
motion, the one I just said, that was convoluted, but it was clear enough. And then
What's the
Mark can
motion?
amend my motion if he wants.
State the motion, please, for the record.
My motion is to, I'm glad I get to redo it. So now I got 30 seconds more to think about it. My motion is to have on the plan a preamble that says that this is not a definite plan. It can be changed at any time.
I would like to make a second for that motion.
Any comments on the motion?
With the asterisk that we're gonna make, have staff make the preamble nice and strong sounding, and well-written. Steve, you're very articulate, but that doesn't cut it for what I'm looking for, but the concept does, so as long as we could, on that understanding. I think it's a good idea, Joe.
Mr. Van Dyne, did you want to comment on the motion?
My comment on the motion is I don't believe we can change the plan at any time. It would have to be at a committee. So I don't think this committee should actually pass that amendment because I don't think it's legal. I mean, if we're going to get into the weeds about it, the change has to be taken place in an open meeting. It cannot be changed at any time.
Okay, well, I'm talking articulate that within this letter, understanding that this letter is going to be written by staff and checked by the state's attorney's office.
Yeah, and this passes, it goes to the full county board for a vote, and then the full county board could vote on it. So I mean, where's the open meeting or where's, why
Okay.
not? This
All right,
could
you
pass.
made your motion. Mr. Van Dyne had his comments. Ms. Winfrey, did you want to comment on the motion? No, that's okay. Let me turn your mic on. I know you were in line to talk, but I didn't know if you wanted to speak on the motion.
Okay, well, no, not on that.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
wait till they
All right,
get done.
so can we get a roll call, I guess?
Oh, Dave. got his mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
First and foremost, I don't want to hear RRD, any of that. We're here to get this done. So, and I agree with Steve and Mark, but also in the presentation, the third article, which I read already, is subject to change on an annual basis. We're just creating more bureaucracy.
Mhm.
We've got enough of that already. But I agree with him because what's I think Steve's referring to is people are saying, well, you voted for 143rd Street expansion, now you're against it because of this long-term plan, which Jeff has to have in place to do a long-term plan because that's the requirements of it. So that's where we're getting caught up in this. We need to end it and deal with it.
All right, can we call the
If
roll?
I could just ask one question though. So in the third paragraph in our introduction, it says the 2026, 2031 Transportation Improvement Plan, the plan exists as a planning tool for Will County. So planning tool isn't enough.
I think it is, but this is what we're going to vote on.
Planning
It's not
tool doesn't
enough.
satisfy.
It's not
the-
enough. Look what happened in just the past couple months to Steve,
Yes.
and he's not wrong with that. So, for the record, there was a motion and then I second it, so I think we vote on it.
We're going to
All
vote on it. Roll call, please.
Revis,
Yes.
Balich,
Yes.
Freeman, Hickey,
No.
Oxley,
Yes.
Winfrey,
No.
Trinier.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you very much. All right. So now, Member Winfrey.
I have my light on.
Yeah.
Totals
Mhm.
on the plan.
Thank you.